Again, my name is Kevin. I am the Emerging Adult Counselor with Bradford Health here in Birmingham. The title suggests it's exactly what it sounds like. I work with young adult males who are still emerging. If anybody's seen that old Matthew McConaughey movie, Failure to Launch, that's exactly what you are envisioning. These young men are typically anywhere from 19 upwards of 30, a little bit over that, maybe younger at 18 if they've already graduated high school. But they are exactly what comes to mind when you think of emerging adults. If they have been to college, they have dropped out or been on academic probation due to substance abuse or an active addiction at that age. Typically, they live with mom or dad or extended relatives, or they're couch surfing because they can't hold steady employment due to their substance use or addiction. Luckily, they're still young enough, most of them, to be on mom and dad's insurance, so they're able to get proper treatment for their addiction. I feel very humbled to be able to follow these wonderful doctors and scientists who have provided you with a great amount of research and statistics. My goal here is not to provide statistics and all of that, because I'm not a researcher, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to tell you about a personal narrative and what I'm seeing, with my young adults and also the adolescents that I've treated. First off, what are some signs and symptoms? These are pretty straightforward. All of our doctors have kind of talked about this. Unusual sleeping patterns, sneaking around, denial, changes in peer group, changes in their manner of speech, changing in their wardrobe. So any change that you see that you know your kids better than anybody, if you see a change that's raising a red flag or that's alarming you, track that down. Okay, I hear all the time my parents or parents say, well, my parents said it too. That's not my child. My child would never do that. Well, okay, then we're in a great amount of denial if we're still saying that. Again, our doctors have talked about the development of adolescent brains, so I'm not going to bore you with all that. What I will tell you is part of my story, part of the reason why I do what I do. How many of us are familiar with the DARE program or went through it? All right? What a waste of time for most of us, okay? Because for me, I remember as an elementary school child sitting there thinking, I can't wait to go through the DARE program. There's a talking car, and there's cops, and this is so cool. And, I signed my little pledge sheet, and I get my t-shirt, and I say, I'm never going to do drugs. That's not going to be me. Well, at age 13, me and my buddy Chase is rolling up our first joint, okay? That's just reality. I tell you that because at age 15, I was arrested in my school cafeteria, and I was charged with possession and intent. I was 15 years old. My parents had no clue, okay? The only reason they knew is because a teacher at my school took charge and overheard a conversation I had in the hallway with another colleague of mine, or peer rather, that here's what I had, right? My adolescent brain, I'm not too smart. So I'm just blasting it to the entire world. Here's what I have, X, Y, Z, and here's where it is. Well, luckily that teacher called my parents and they took action and said, okay, what are we going to do about this? Right? No longer were they saying, that's not my kid, that's not Kevin. That was Kevin. Okay? So I tell you all that to, again, just see what's normal versus concerning, right? For those of you that have teenagers, you know they're moody, right? God bless you, they're moody. They get frustrated at the drop of a hat, they have mood swings, if they go through a breakup, it's the end of the world. I'm never going to find love again, holy crap. I got this test coming up, I'm never going to survive, I'm not going to get into Harvard, who am I thinking? Right? That's normal. We want to normalize that and let them know, hey, look, whatever you're going through, that's okay. Because I can tell you, as a 15-year-old adolescent, right, going back in my little time machine, I was crying out for help. Because all I wanted was to be heard. Because at that time, every adult in my life, including teachers, were saying, oh, don't worry about it, that doesn't matter. You're just a kid, what do you know? Our kids do know. And they want to be heard, and they want to feel like they matter. That's what Kevin wanted at 15 years old. That's why I turned to drugs and alcohol, because I wanted to feel something. Okay? What's concerning is that they're constantly anxious. Right? Dr. Savage talked about the first line of treatment is not to throw a pill in their way. Talk therapy. Sit them down and explore what's going on. What are they anxious about? Right? Depression. depression is very real. If your child is suffering from clinical depression, then by all means, get them help, okay? But sometimes they may be depressed because of the drugs they're using, all right? Rapid changes of personality, right? Not just coming home and you ask them how your day is, and they say, oh, you know, it's fine, whatever, and closing the door to their room, normal. I'm talking about if they're, you know, if they're becoming manipulative, if you suspect they're lying, if they're showing you these signs and symptoms, like Dr. Taylor said, like Dr. Savage said, Dr. Wiley before me, do not ignore them. Don't think I'm being a helicopter parent and I'm being too strict on my kid, I gotta be their friend. I've got a lot of peers that because of that parenting, wound up in addiction treatment. Or better yet, they're 6 feet under. Because their parents wanted to be the cool kid. And I don't say that to scare you, I tell you that because that's very real. My first experiences with this, and with Bradford in general, is when my best friend Scott was put in adolescent treatment up at our Madison facility at age 17 for severe cocaine addiction. Okay? My second one was when another good friend of mine, Jonathan, at age 18, with the whole world in front of him, overdosed at the University of Alabama from a deadly overdose of Oxycontin and Xanax. I said, that's not Jonathan. Who did it? Yeah, that's what's going on. Normal appearance for teenagers, experimenting with fashion trends, right? I want to be on the cutting edge of fashion. I want to have all the new brands. And typically this happens around middle school, because in elementary school, these kids don't care what they're wearing. Then they get to middle school and it's all, oh, you got to wear Gucci and Abercrombie or whatever's the new thing today. I don't know. I know that was me. I was like, I got to wear polo. I got to have this. You know, now I was reminded that I came from a poor background. I get to middle school and I'm like, things are very different. Very different. All right, my adolescents experiments, young adults experiments, that's what they're supposed to do. They're trying to figure out their footing in the world and what their role is. Don't stifle that, right? Really encourage that. But when it becomes concerning is when they just go completely 180 on you and they start, you know, wearing completely different looks or stop caring what they look like. You know, if you have a young woman, a young lady who cares about her appearance, and then all of a sudden just goes, you know, wearing sweatpants and PJs all the time, that could be a concern. It really could. If they're starting to get tattoos, hopefully at this age you're not consenting for them to get tattoos, but if you find that they got a tattoo, another concern, because they got it off the street. And that's not very safe, not very hygienic. Any piercings that you don't know about, again, neglected hygiene, any burns on hands or clothes, could be a sign or symptom that they are smoking nicotine or worse, marijuana, and they are burning their clothes, especially look in their car, because you're the one paying for it, right? If you look in their car and they got burn stains on the ceiling or the seats or wherever, that's alarming, because not only are they allowing other peers to smoke or use in their car, they may be doing the same thing, or better, worse yet, they may be driving while doing this, Any weight loss, weight gain, typically you're going to see weight loss with the use of stimulants, because it suppresses the appetite. Weight gain, if they are using alcohol or certain opioids, which cause constipation, that can cause weight gain as well. So we want to be mindful of that. Also, Dr. Savage talked about eating disorders. We want to be mindful of that. Are they eating a lot, and then are they purging? If your child's intake of food is a lot, and you don't see any fluctuation in weight gain, be mindful. That could be concerning. These connections, these social connections, they're going to have a decreased communication with you all. That's what they're going to do. So for those of you with small kids, they're going to ignore you. They're not going to want to have anything to do with you. That's normal. All right? They're going to be more focused on friends, after school activities. Promote that, okay? You want them to try different activities and get and be involved with different peer groups. More time on their phone, social media, playing games, spending a lot of time with their friends. Another big alarm right here is making some new friends. If they're making friends that are much older than them, that's a warning sign. All right, because at 15 years old, all of my friends were seniors. I thought I was a cool kid. No, they were just using me because of drug use. Here's the thing. Drug users are one of the most accepting communities on the face of this planet. The only requirement you have to use or be involved in this community is the desire to get high. That's it. They'll say, come on in. Glad to have you, especially if you got money. What's concerning is no family involvement at all. right? They're not coming to the dinner table. They're not sitting down if you have a family game night or a family reunions or family vacations. I don't want to go on that. I don't want to be involved on that. No interest in any other friendships. If they're getting rid of their old friends, also an alarm, right? Part of growing up, part of our evolution as humans is kind of taking inventory of things we need and don't need. And part of growing up and maturing is identifying those friends that we no longer want to be with. Again, normal. But if I start dumping or going away from every other, friend that I have and spending time with all these older ones, that's an alarm. Not giving any information on their families, their backgrounds. Oh, that's just John. He lives so-and-so. Okay, well, who's John's parents? What do they do? How old is John? Does he even go to your school? What's his deal? All right, and giving up interest in like sports and things like that. Because I can tell you, I was interested in a lot of stuff, but when drugs and alcohol entered my life, no. The drugs and alcohol were what I was interested in. And let me preface that by saying I myself am not in recovery of addiction. I don't want to put that out there, but I do have experience with what we've, Dr. Taylor used the spectrum and Dr. Savage used misuse. I was one of those that was abusing or misusing, right? Because that's what I thought was cool. Thankfully, I never crossed over into that threshold of addiction. I don't know what that feels like. All right, but I do come from a long line of family members who have dealt with it, alcohol, opiates, things like that. So I know the risks involved, and luckily for me, I was able to say, you know what, I don't want to go down that route. Rebellious behavior, that's what teenagers do. They get rebellious. They buck the system, right? Again, normal. They want independence. They want out from under mom and dad, okay? We want to promote that within reason, within healthy boundaries. Explore. Hang out with different people, right, that are different from you, because that promotes growth and wellness and acceptance, right? But what's concerning if they're constantly fighting or dropping grades, right? If I'm used to making A's and B's and I'm making C's and D's, that might not say I'm using drugs. That might mean I'm dealing with something emotionally that I don't know how to handle. I'm not equipped to handle with because my adolescent brain won't allow me. If I'm having legal issues, right? At 15 years old, I never imagined I'd be charged with possession and intent. I'm just a child, right? Luckily, I did what I had to do, and those charges got dropped. But I have worked with individuals that weren't so lucky, that have driven under the influence once they get their car, and heaven forbid, they have killed other people or themselves, or moms and dads, or things like that. A compulsive need to argue. They're always arguing, yelling, being overly dramatic. Again, a warning sign. And especially, God bless these kids these days. Most of us in this room didn't have to deal with cyberbullying. We went home if we didn't want to be communicated with. If you didn't catch us on the landline, on the old rotary phone, then well, you're out of luck. Nowadays, it's everywhere. These kids cannot get away from being bullied. They go to school, they're bullied. They come home, they're bullied. They're bullied throughout the whole night. They wake up, same cycle. We want to be mindful of that. All right. So, we all know that drug use changes the brain. Here's the thing that, if you take home anything tonight from me, here's what I want you to understand, is if we're going to have, the old birds and bees conversation with our children, or with the children we teach or we treat, then right after that, we need to have the Xanax and heroin talk. That's just plain and simple. Parents ask me all the time, what do I need to be doing? You need to sit your child down, and you need to have a very honest and genuine discussion. And say, look, there are some substances out there that I need you to be familiar with. And when you are presented with them, not if, when you are presented with these substances, here's what you need to know in order to make an informed decision. As Dr. Taylor said, experimentation, normal. Right? Your kids are going to experiment, okay? It's like the old Hansel and Gretel. This part is too hot, this part is too cold, this was just right. Right? They're going to experiment. But when they're introduced to drugs and alcohol, here's the information I want you to have so you can make an informed, educated decision for you and for the rest of your life and family. Because here's what you need to know. There's the main chemical component that's being elicited when we use drugs and alcohol. What is it? Anybody know what it is? with the main neurotransmitter being Elizabeth. Dopamine, right? It's the feel-good drug. Anything in life that makes us happy is due to dopamine production. Without it, we wouldn't know what happiness is, and we wouldn't be able to deal with this thing called life. It's very, very important. And when we ingest drugs and alcohol, that's what's getting produced in the brain's reward system. And Dr. Taylor can tell you more about that. He's the expert. But here's what I want you to know in terms of your children. What you need to tell them is when you ingest these drugs and alcohol, they're going to make you feel good. All right, see, I grew up, my parents said, you drink or you use drugs, you're going to die. They're going to kill you, they're bad for you, and it's game over. And guess what? Man, when I was 13 years old and Chase and I smoked that first joint, I didn't die. I didn't feel bad. In fact, I felt pretty good and a little hungry. But at that point, my adolescent brain at 15 said, ooh, my parents lied to me. Now, what else are they lying about? So I want to try everything and anything. And I did. But it did me no good because I was just trying to mask something that I was going through emotionally, that I was confused, that I was, looking for acceptance anywhere I could. And like I said earlier, drug users, drug community, very accepting. All right? So again, as they talked about, the doctors have the most commonly used gateway, marijuana, alcohol, right? Those are the gold standards. That's what you see all the time. But again, the biggest increase in use right now is prescription drugs, whether it's opiates, Xanax, Adderall, right? All of these things we're seeing an alarming rate among young people. Okay, and like the doctors have already alluded to, they're not getting it off the street from Jay-Z to drug dealer. They're getting it from TJ to classmate or mom and dad. Right? That's where I was getting most of my alcohol, was dad's liquor cabinet and mom's medicine cabinet. There was a wide array of substances that were free for the taking. So I'll just reiterate, if you do have drugs, or if they're not drugs, but prescription medications in your home or any sort of alcohol, please lock it up. It's not that difficult. Put it behind lock and key. And again, continue educating your child about the dangers. IV drug use and heroin, that's the majority of the people I treat. My guys right now, most of them deal with IV drug use, whether it's methamphetamine or heroin or any other prescription opiate. And as someone alluded to earlier, they didn't start that way. Right? Nobody woke up one morning and said, ooh, today's the day I shoot heroin. That's not how it happens. It's a progression. Because they start with mom and dad's medicine cabinet, or grandma's OxyContin prescription, or Joe and Susie at school said, here, take this, it's going to make you feel better. Try it. And so they do, and then it works, right? Until eventually it doesn't, because that solution you're looking for, or they're looking for, or I was looking for, or everybody in recovery is looking for, that solution is only temporary. Because eventually it's going to wear off, and they're going to look for this, that, or whatever else. And when that wears off, the end of the road is IV. All right, that's the end game right there. That's the most lethal route of administration we know of. Okay, we've already alluded to a lot of these drugs of abuse. You already know them. What I want to kind of go over is the rise in these gas station drugs, or these vape shop drugs that you may not even are aware exist. All right. You go to any gas station, or almost any gas station, I don't want to generalize, but you go to the majority of gas stations here in Birmingham, and you go up and you have, at the cashier, you got all the candy and all the other knickknacks, the keychains and whatnot, and you've got the rolled cigars behind you and the cigarettes, they're all up there. Well, look to your right or to your left, and those little kiosks, right there with the 5-hour energies, there exists a dangerous class of synthetic drugs that are perfectly legal. And guess what? They're packaged in multicolored designs and multi-flavors, and they're targeted at the kids and young people. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Tiana, which is just like 5-hour energy. Tiana, the active ingredient is tianeptine. The scary thing is that gas station high that these kids are getting for $30+ a bottle are attaching to the same opiate receptors that heroin is. And these kids don't know it. I had the unfortunate experience the other day of being at a local convenience store, and in front of me was a doctor, full scrubs, had his little beeper on, talking about he's starting his shift at UAB, and he bought a bottle of Tiana, and I'm thinking, oh my God, that's very comforting. This guy's about to start his shift, and he's consuming legal heroin. Right? We talked about lean. There's also legal lean. I don't know if you've ever seen that. First time I got introduced to that was at a gas station in Coleman. I'm up there and advertising, bright, bold, colorful, advertisement. Legal lean. Just like a slushy machine. I can just pull it and have all I want. I don't know what's in it, but legal lean. Come on. Another one is sleepwalkers. You ever seen those in a bright blue and white bottle, sometimes purple, looks like kind of smoke a little bit. Again, looks like a 5-hour energy. But my guys that have taken it tell me it's more akin to like synthetic MDMA. It's more of a stimulant. But it's also a relaxant, much like Xanax. So very, very deadly when used or misused. All right? It can cause a multitude of health problems. Again, some of the things we hear is, that's not my child. My child's too good. He or she's involved in all this. They're doing that. They're too involved. That's just a common myth. If you see warning signs, again, you as the parents are the expert in your child. If you see any change, or their pediatrician or their teacher start to see changes and they come to you, don't dismiss it. Don't say, that's not my kid. Let's be proactive. Or I would know my kids attend church, or I was attending church too. Right? I was doing all those things. It didn't matter. Again, what I want you to take home from this is that these drugs and alcohol that these young teenagers and these young adults are taking are making them feel good, and that's what we need to sit them down and talk to them. Have the sex talk, have the drug talk. Here's what's out there. Let's not shy away from it. Shying away from it's got us to this point. We can't continue to ignore it or sweep it under the rug. We've got to get ahead of this thing and be proactive and say, this is what's out there. Here's what you need to be informed about. Okay? And so I want to leave you, I know I'm probably out of time. Again, lock up anything. Again, depression and suicide, it's alarming among young adults and teenagers. Again, don't just, there's a meme going around that my friends are sharing and my guys are showing me. It says, check on the happiness. Check on the happiness. Meaning the ones that are smiling all the time and they seem like they get it all together, check in on them. Because you never know what they're going through. I always say it's the sad clown effect. On the outside, the clown's smiling, right? On the inside, that clown, he or she may be breaking, bloody, and suicidal. It doesn't take much to check out and say, hey, how you doing, man? You all right today? Hey, I see you. You never know how long that will go in somebody's life. Again, what can you do? Trust your gut. If you see something, say something, whether it's your child or another child. Blow the whistle. Right? In this case, snitches don't get stitches, right? It may save a life. Have open and non-judgmental communication. Again, be very open, be very transparent, be very genuine. Maybe even discuss your experience with the use of drugs and alcohol, or better yet, the families. Because as every doctor here has alluded to, about 50% or higher of addiction is genetic. When we talk about genetics, we're not talking about just mom and dad. We're talking about your mom and dad, and their mom and dad, and so on and so forth. And it's being funneled into this thing called me. All right? Don't be afraid to ask your children questions. Ask every single day. And get help as soon as possible. So where can you seek help? So here in Birmingham, as part of Bradford, we have a regional office right over here in Vestavia, on the Hoover-Vestavia line, where 65 meets 31. We have free and completely confidential consults, right? It costs nothing to bring your child or loved one in for a consultation. Doesn't mean they're locked in, that they got to pay it out of pocket on anything. It's just a consultation. Completely confidential. In our Birmingham office, we have adolescent programs. We have our young adult program, right? Adolescent programs from age 13 up to 18, right? And 13, yes, we have seen 13-year-olds. Okay? They're getting younger. That's what we have to know. Our adolescent program is located up in Madison near Huntsville. We offer residential treatment there, which is long-term. They then can transition to IOP, or if they're experiencing legal issues, behavioral issues, by all means, bring them in. they may benefit from IOP, which is intensive outpatient. It's a group that meets 4 days a week, 3 hours a day. They may benefit from that. We do offer drug education one Saturday a month for teenagers and parents. We do offer a family support group, which is completely free of charge. You don't even know how to, you don't even have to know how to spell Bradford to be able to come to this family support group. All right? It is on Thursday evenings at our Vestavia office, right down the road. It is from 5:30 to 6:30, completely confidential with a licensed clinician, and it's free. I can't stress that enough. It's a resource for you to have. And we're not the only game in town. I want you to be familiar with some other people that do a lot of great work and a lot of great things. Beacon Recovery, which is an offset of UAB, they do a lot of great work with adolescents in this area. Children's Psychiatric Intake, that center, that you can call that, again, confidential, to see what resources they have, whether they can get involved on an emotional level, mental health. Utah, which was formerly Teen Link for teens. Your teens can call this number if they're feeling, symptoms of depression or anxiety, or they don't know how to deal with something at school, or they don't know where to turn. And I don't want to talk to mom and dad, and I can't talk to everybody else. Provide them with this number. Let them know there is somebody to talk to. Impact Family Counseling has an office right here in Vestavia. They also have one in south side of Birmingham. They have a lot of great support groups, a lot of educational groups offered to families and adolescents to get the help they need, the resources they need. And Alsana as well. Again, just another resource for children to have. And again, another resource, we didn't put it on here, but it's a newer resource. It's Magic City Acceptance Center. It's aimed at the LGBTQ community. Again, that community is more at risk for substance abuse and addiction because of what they're going through. Because of they're being judged, or they don't know where to turn, and they don't feel accepted. And again, it's the Magic City Acceptance Center. So if your child or a loved one or someone in your family is struggling with acceptance of their sexuality or anything like that, please give them that resource and let them know there is a place to go to be safe. Again, for any questions you may have, our number's right here, our table's over there. Give us a call for a free consultation. Just any resources you may want or need. Again, free, confidential. And again, it's an honor to be here with you all, and thank you for putting up with my rant for however long that was.